6 years ago, I stood at the altar watching the most beautiful woman walk toward me. Megan said, "I do," with tears in her eyes, and I believed every word. I thought I knew what love looked like. I thought I knew her. But last Friday night, I found myself face down on my own front lawn, hands cuffed behind my back, while my wife laughed from the window with her phone recording everything. That laugh. I had heard it 1,000 times. But that night, it sounded like something I had never known before. Before I share the rest of this story, let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. What would you do if the person you trusted most turned your life into a joke for her entertainment? Let us find out together. My name is Gilbert, and I am 34 years old. I work as a construction engineer for a mid-sized firm in Phoenix, Arizona. I am not the loudest guy in the room. Never have been. I prefer to keep my head down, do my job well, and come home to a peaceful house. That is all I ever wanted. A simple life with someone I loved. I met Megan at a mutual friend's birthday party about 8 years ago. She was 23, then full of energy, always the center of attention. She had this infectious laugh that could fill an entire room. While I stood awkwardly by the snack table, she walked right up to me and started a conversation. I remember thinking, why is this vibrant woman talking to a quiet guy like me? But she seemed genuinely interested. She asked about my work, my hobbies, my dreams. By the end of the night, I had her number saved in my phone. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. Those early years were wonderful. Megan brought color into my otherwise gray existence. She taught me to loosen up, to laugh at myself, to not take everything so seriously. She had this playful streak that I found endearing. Small pranks here and there, and she would hide my car keys and watch me search frantically before revealing them with a giggle. She once switched the salt and sugar containers before I made my morning coffee. Harmless stuff. I always laughed along because seeing her happy made me happy. We got married in a small ceremony with close friends and family. I worked overtime for 4 years, straight after that saving every extra dollar, until we could afford a modest house in the suburbs. It was not a mansion, but it was ours. 3 bedrooms, a small backyard, a front lawn that I took pride in maintaining. Life felt complete. But looking back now, I can see the warning signs I chose to ignore. About 2 years into our marriage, Megan discovered prank videos on the internet. She became obsessed with them, watching for hours, laughing hysterically at strangers, humiliating their friends and family for views. Then she started creating her own content. At first, it was innocent enough. She would film herself scaring me when I came out of the shower, or pretending there was a spider on my shoulder. I played along because it made her happy. Then things started to shift. One afternoon, Megan called my mother and told her that I had been cheating on her. She said she had proof that she had found messages on my phone. My mother, who has a weak heart, broke down crying. She called me at work, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. I rushed home in a panic, only to find Megan sitting on the couch with her phone laughing. She had recorded the whole call. "It was just a prank, Mom," she said when I confronted her. "Relax, I was going to tell her the truth." My mother did not speak to either of us for 3 months. She almost had a heart attack from the stress. I sat Megan down that night and told her firmly that she had crossed a line. She apologized, said she did not realize it would upset everyone so much, and promised to be more careful in the future. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. But the pranks did not stop. They evolved. There was the time she called me during an important client meeting screaming that she had been in a car accident. I excused myself, ran to my car, and drove 20 miles over the speed limit to get to her. When I arrived at the location she gave me, I found her sitting in her perfectly fine car filming my panicked face as I jumped out. Got you," she said, laughing so hard she could barely breathe. I lost that client. My boss was furious. I almost lost my job. Another time she told me she had been fired from her marketing position while I was having dinner with a potential business partner. I apologized profusely and left the restaurant to comfort her. She was at home watching television completely fine. "You are so gullible," she said. "It is adorable." Every time I expressed anger or frustration, she had the same response. "You have no sense of humor, Gilbert. Lighten up. It is just a joke." I started to wonder if she was right. Maybe I was too serious. Maybe I needed to learn to laugh at myself more. I pushed down my feelings and tried to be a better sport. My best friend Marcus saw things differently. Marcus and I have known each other since college. He became a lawyer, a good one, and he always had a sharp eye for trouble. One evening after I told him about the fake car accident prank, he looked at me with genuine concern. "This is not normal, man," he said. "What she is doing, it is not playful. It is cruel." "She is just immature," I defended her. "She does not mean any harm." Marcus shook his head slowly. "There is a line between playful and cruel, Gilbert, and she crossed it a long time ago. You just do not want to see it." I did not listen. I loved my wife. I had made vows to her. For better or worse, right, every marriage has problems. This was just ours. I convinced myself that if I was more patient, more understanding, more supportive, things would get better. I had no idea how wrong I was. The week before, everything fell apart, started out better than most. After 7 years of hard work, I finally got promoted to senior project manager. It came with a significant raise and my own office. I was proud of myself, genuinely proud for the first time in a long while. I wanted to celebrate with Megan. I suggested a nice dinner at the Italian restaurant where we had our first date. "Whatever," she said, without looking up from her phone. "We can do it any time." I tried not to let her indifference hurt me. Maybe she was having a bad day. Maybe she was stressed about something. I decided to give her space. What I did not know was that Megan had joined an online community dedicated to extreme pranks. These were not casual jokesters. They were people who competed to see who could pull off the most shocking, most viral stunts. The more outrageous, the more views, the more clout. Megan wanted to win. She wanted to be famous in that world. For 2 weeks, she had been secretly planning what she called the ultimate prank. She asked her online friends for ideas. Someone suggested faking a break-in. Another person recommended pretending to be kidnapped. But the suggestion that got the most, like the one Megan decided to execute, was calling the police on her own husband. "Call the cops and say he hit you," one comment read. "His face when he gets cuffed will be priceless." Megan loved it. Friday came. I had worked a 12-hour shift dealing with a difficult construction site. All I wanted was to come home, take a shower, and maybe watch some television before bed. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed the front lawn was looking a bit dry. I decided to water it before going inside. The evening air was cool, the neighborhood quiet. It felt peaceful. My neighbor Carl was walking his dog down the sidewalk. He waved at me, and I waved back. We exchanged a few words about the weather, about the upcoming neighborhood barbecue. Normal, everyday stuff. Then everything changed. 2 police cars came screeching around the corner, lights flashing, sirens blaring. They stopped directly in front of my house. My first thought was that something had happened to one of my neighbors. Maybe there was a burglary nearby. I set down the garden hose and walked toward the officers, ready to help however I could. "Sir, put your hands where I can see them," a voice commanded. I froze. Officer Danny Reeves stepped out of the first car, his hand resting on his holstered weapon. His partner flanked to the side, creating a tactical position. They were looking at me. Not at my neighbors. At me. There has been a domestic violence report at this address, Officer Reeves said. We received a call that a woman was being attacked. What? No, there must be some mistake, I stammered. I just got home from work. I was watering the lawn. Sir, I need you to get down on the ground. Now. But I did not do anything. My wife is inside. You can ask her. They did not listen. They could not listen. Protocol required them to secure the scene first. Before I could process what was happening, I was pushed face down onto my own front lawn. The grass was damp from the sprinkler I had just been using. It smelled like wet earth and cut blades. Cold metal clamped around my wrists as they handcuffed my hands behind my back. I turned my head and saw Carl standing frozen on the sidewalk, his dog whimpering beside him. Other neighbors had come outside, drawn by the commotion. Mrs. Patterson from across the street had her hand over her mouth. The Hendersons were whispering to each other, already pulling out their phones to record. This could not be happening. This was my home. These were my neighbors. And I was being arrested on my own property for something I did not do. Then I heard it. That laugh. I craned my neck toward the house and saw Megan standing in the doorway. She had her phone out, pointed directly at me, recording everything. She was laughing so hard she was doubled over. "Oh my God," she gasped between giggles. "You should see your face right now. This is amazing." Officer Reeves turned toward her, confused. "Ma'am, are you the one who called?" "Yes, that was me," Megan said, still laughing. "It is just a prank, officers. He did not do anything. I made it all up. Is this not hilarious?" The silence that followed was deafening. I lay there on the wet grass, my hands cuffed behind me, staring up at the woman I had married. The woman I had loved. The woman I had defended to everyone who warned me about her. She was still laughing, still recording, still treating this like it was the funniest thing she had ever seen. Officer Reeves was not amused. His face hardened as he walked toward Megan. "Ma'am, do you understand that filing a false police report is a criminal offense? You could face serious charges for this." Megan rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. It was just for fun. No one got hurt." "Your husband is face down on the ground in handcuffs," Officer Reeves said flatly, "in front of his entire neighborhood, because you lied to 911. She waved her hand dismissively. "He will get over it. Gilbert never stays mad for long." They removed the handcuffs. I stood up slowly, brushing grass and dirt from my clothes. My wrists ached where the metal had dug in, but the physical pain was nothing compared to what I felt inside. I looked at Megan. She was still smiling, still oblivious, still waiting for me to laugh along like I always did. I did not say a word. I walked past her into the house, past the living room, where we had spent countless evenings together, past the photos of our wedding day hanging on the wall. I went straight to the spare bedroom and closed the door behind me. Megan followed, knocking on the door. "Babe, why are you being so dramatic?" "It was funny. Everyone is going to love this video." I did not respond. "Gilbert, come on. You are overreacting. It was just a joke." I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall. I could hear her outside sighing impatiently, eventually giving up and walking away. The house fell silent. I did not sleep that night. I lay in the darkness, replaying every moment of the past 6 years. Every prank, every humiliation. Every time she had made me feel like I was the problem for being upset. Every time she had dismissed my feelings as me being too sensitive, too serious, too boring. And I realized something I had been refusing to see. Megan did not love me. Maybe she never did. You do not humiliate someone you love. You do not turn their pain into entertainment. You do not destroy their dignity for views and likes from strangers on the internet. That night, lying alone in the dark, I made a decision. I woke up at 5 in the morning with absolute clarity. For the first time in years, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I picked up my phone and called Marcus. It rang twice before he answered, his voice groggy with sleep. "Gilbert, it is 5 a.m. What is going on?" "I need your help," I said. "I am done." There was a pause on the other end. Then Marcus said something I will never forget. "I have been waiting for this call for 2 years, brother." By 7:30, I was at the police station. Officer Reeves was just starting his shift. When he saw me walk in, he gave me a nod of recognition. "Mr. Gilbert, I was hoping you would come by." "I want to file charges," I said, "against my wife, for the false report." Officer Reeves led me to a desk and handed me the paperwork. "What she did was not a joke," he said. "It is a crime. False reports waste police resources and put innocent people at risk. You have every right to pursue this." I filled out the forms, carefully documenting everything that had happened. When I signed my name at the bottom, my hand was steady. No hesitation. No second guessing. From the police station, I drove directly to Marcus's office. He was already there waiting for me with a stack of papers and a fresh pot of coffee. "I pulled an all-nighter getting these ready," he said. "Divorce petition, division of assets, everything. We just need your signature." Before I signed, Marcus asked me one question. "Are you sure about this? Once we file, there is no going back." I thought about the woman I married, the woman who stood in the doorway laughing while I lay handcuffed on the ground, the woman who valued internet fame over my dignity. "I have never been more sure of anything," I said. Marcus handed me a pen, but the paperwork was only part of it. I needed evidence. I needed proof that this was not a one-time lapse in judgment, but a pattern of behavior. I found Megan's laptop open in the living room. She was still asleep, probably exhausted from staying up late editing her hilarious video. I logged into her social media accounts and found the group, the prank enthusiasts, the people who had encouraged her to call the police. I took screenshots of everything. Her post from 2 weeks earlier. "Need ideas for a huge prank on my husband, something that will break the internet." The suggestions that poured in, the votes, the comment that said, "Call the cops, his face will be priceless." Megan's response, "OMG, yes, this is perfect. He is going to flip out." Messages from her friends cheering her on, people placing bets on how I would react, strangers discussing my humiliation like it was a sporting event. I saved every screenshot to my phone. Then I quietly closed the laptop and left. When I returned home at 9 that morning, Megan was sitting at the kitchen table drinking coffee. She looked up when I walked in, her expression somewhere between amused and annoyed. "Oh, you are back," she said. "Are you still mad about last night? I posted the video and it already has like 50,000 views. People think it is hilarious." I walked to the table and set down the folder Marcus had prepared. "These are divorce papers," I said. "Sign them." The coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. Her smile faded, replaced by confusion. "What?" "You heard me. I want a divorce." She set down the cup, slowly staring at the papers like they might bite her. Then she laughed. It was a nervous laugh, uncertain, nothing like the confident cackle from the night before. "This is a joke, right? You are pranking me back. Good one, Gilbert." "No," I said. "I have never been more serious in my life." The color drained from her face. "You cannot divorce me over a prank. That is insane." "You had me handcuffed on my own lawn. You laughed while I was humiliated in front of our neighbors. You filmed it and posted it on the internet for strangers to mock me." "It was just a joke," she repeated, but her voice cracked. "Was it a joke when you told my mother I was cheating? Was it a joke when you made me think you were in a car accident? Was it a joke every time you made me feel like I was crazy for being hurt by the things you did?" Megan's eyes filled with tears. I did not mean to hurt you. I just wanted people to laugh. At my expense, always at my expense. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots, her posts in the group, her messages to her friends, the cold, calculated planning that went into humiliating me. You spent 2 weeks planning this, I said. You asked strangers on the internet how to destroy me. And when they told you to call the police to have me arrested in front of my neighbors, you thought it was perfect. She had no response. For the first time since I had known her, Megan had nothing to say. Within an hour, her mother, Linda, arrived. Megan had called her in tears, begging her to help fix this. Linda was a kind woman, but she had always enabled her daughter's behavior. Megan is just spirited, she used to say. She does not mean any harm. Linda sat across from me at the kitchen table, her expression pleading. Gilbert, please. She is just immature. She did not think it through. Can you not give her another chance? I shook my head. With all due respect, Linda, she filed a false police report against me. That is a crime, not immaturity. Linda turned to Megan, and for the first time I saw genuine anger on her face. I told you, she said sharply. I told you those pranks would go too far someday, but you never listened. Megan sobbed into her hands. Later that afternoon, the police returned. But this time, they were not there for me. Officer Reeves stood in our living room and informed Megan that she would be formally charged with filing a false police report. She would have to appear in court. She faced a potential fine of several $1,000s and up to 6 months in jail. Megan collapsed onto the couch, wailing about how unfair it was, how she never meant for any of this to happen. I felt nothing. In the days that followed, the video Megan had posted went viral, but not in the way she had hoped. People were not laughing at me. They were condemning her. Comments poured in, calling her cruel, abusive, disgusting. Her account was flooded with angry messages. Within a week, she had to delete all her social media profiles. Her employer, a marketing firm that prided itself on positive brand image, terminated her contract. They did not want to be associated with someone who had become a symbol of toxic internet culture. Carl, my neighbor, stopped by one evening to check on me. We sat on my porch drinking beer while he told me something I had never known. She pranked my wife once, he said quietly. About 3 years ago. Told her that I was having an affair. My wife believed it for 2 days before we figured out the truth. We almost got divorced over it. Why did you never tell me? Carl shrugged sadly. We did not want to cause problems, and honestly, we were not sure you would believe us. I was not the only victim. I was just the last one. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. The judge divided our assets fairly. I gave Megan the house because I could not stand to be there anymore. Too many memories. Too many ghosts. I moved into a small apartment closer to work. It was only 800 square feet, but it felt more like home than that house ever did. The first night alone, I sat in the dark and cried. Not because I missed Megan, not because I regretted my decision. I cried because I was mourning the years I had wasted. The pain I had endured. The person I had allowed myself to become just to keep the peace. The court ruled on Megan's criminal case a month after the divorce. She was fined $2,000 and sentenced to 100 hours of community service. She avoided jail time because she had no prior record, but she would carry the conviction with her for years. I did not celebrate. I did not feel victorious. I just felt tired. Marcus suggested I see a therapist, and for once I took his advice. Dr. Harrison was a calm, patient man who helped me understand what I had been through. What you experienced, he told me during our 3rd session, is emotional abuse. The gaslighting, the constant dismissal of your feelings, the blame shifting. These are classic patterns. You were not too sensitive. You were being manipulated. Those words hit me harder than anything else. I had spent years believing I was the problem, that I was too serious, that I could not take a joke. But I was never the problem. I started rebuilding my life piece by piece. I threw myself into work and earned another promotion. I joined a running club and discovered I actually enjoyed exercise when I was not constantly exhausted from emotional stress. I made new friends, real friends who treated me with respect and kindness. I did not rush into dating. Dr. Harrison helped me understand that I needed to learn to love myself first, to set boundaries, to recognize red flags, to never again sacrifice my dignity for someone else's entertainment. 8 months after the divorce, I ran into Megan at the grocery store. I was in the produce section picking out apples when I heard a familiar voice. "Gilbert." I turned around. She looked different, thinner, dark circles under her eyes. The vibrant energy that had once attracted me was completely gone. "Megan," I said. We stood there in awkward silence for a moment. Then she spoke. "I am sorry," she said. "I really am. I know it does not change anything, but I wanted you to know." I looked at her, this woman I had once loved more than anything. I searched inside myself for anger, for resentment, for hatred. But there was nothing. Just a distant sadness for what could have been. "I know," I said. "Take care of yourself, Megan." I turned and walked away. I did not look back. A year has passed since that night on the lawn. I am sitting now in my new apartment, sunlight streaming through the window. It is a small place, but it is peaceful. It is mine. Sometimes I think about what happened. The handcuffs, the laughter, the humiliation. At the time, I thought that was the worst night of my life. I thought I had hit rock bottom. But I was wrong. That night was not the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of me finally standing up for myself. The beginning of me recognizing my own worth. The beginning of a life where I refuse to be anyone's joke. I learned something important through all of this. Love is not supposed to hurt. Real love doesn't laugh at your pain. Real love doesn't turn your suffering into entertainment. Real love protects, respects, and cherishes. And sometimes walking away isn't giving up. It is choosing yourself. It is refusing to accept less than you deserve. It is the bravest thing you can do. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. I forgave Megan because holding on to anger was poisoning me. But forgiveness did not mean taking her back. It meant releasing the grip she had on my heart so I could finally be free. If you are watching this, and something in my story resonates with you, I want you to know something. You deserve better. Whether it is a partner, a friend, a family member, whoever is making you feel small, making you doubt yourself, making you think you are the problem when you are not. You deserve better. Sometimes the worst night of your life can become the first step toward the best version of yourself. So let me ask you this. In your own life, is there something you have been tolerating just because you are afraid of change? Is there someone who makes you feel like you are too much or not enough? Maybe it is time to give yourself permission to be free. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had to walk away from someone you loved to save yourself? What gave you the strength to do it? Share your story, because you never know who might need to hear it. If this video touched you in any way, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And if you are new here, consider subscribing so you do not miss future stories. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for being part of this community. I wish you strength, I wish you peace, and most importantly, I wish you the courage to choose yourself. Take care of yourselves. You deserve it.